A common issue I see many coaches and agency owners make when they run their businesses is that they have their crucial information scattered across a bunch of different software tools. Let me use an example. You got your payment data in Stripe, you've got tasking and project management in Asana or ClickUp, you've got leads coming in from Facebook or Google Manager, then you've got maybe emails coming in to Zendesk or Help Scout, you're chatting with your team on WhatsApp, iMessage or Messenger, right? So you have all these different tools and you got to be checking all of them to keep in touch with what's going on. And it's not a you problem, right? That's just the reality of doing business in today's modern world. We have a lot of different tools that fill a role in helping us market and sell our services. So today, I'm going to show you how you can build a command center that allows you to have all of that information flowing into one single place to allow you and your team to make decisions faster and overall keep a better tab on what's going on with less friction. Now, who am I and what do I do? My name is Juan Otero. I help online coaches, agency owners, and growth partners scale to 50 to 100K per month using leveraged acquisition mechanisms and a lot of fulfillment on the back end, like automations and AI, that allow you to remove bottlenecks from your business and overall increase your productivity without burning yourself out doing a ton of manual work. So the solution I'm going to show you today, by the way, is not just one that we've installed for our clients, but it's also one that I've seen in other very successful online businesses. The way that those entrepreneurs run theirs is very similar to what I'm about to show you. So keep that in mind. So let's jump into a Miro. I'm going to screen share really quickly and you'll be able to see exactly what I'm talking about. I'll show you an example of a command center, what it actually looks like in practice so that you can go ahead and install this into your business. And at the end of the video, I'll even give you the link so that you can go ahead and just grab this template off of me. All right. So let me go ahead and switch us over into Miro. And as you can see here, we've got our little overview of your business data and information. Okay, so if I simplify this, obviously there's a lot more that goes to this, but I'm using 10 buckets of information. Obviously you can make this as deep or as shallow as you want, right? But we're going with team communication. You got your ads data coming in. Again, type form, job form, responses. This could be lead questionnaires, surveys. We've got booked appointments, right? So whenever you get an actual appointment booking, whether you're using Calendly, OneHub, Go High Level, or any other software appointment booking software tool, we've got our call/sales reports. So your team, once they jump on calls, or if you're jumping on calls, how are you logging that data, right? What was the outcome of that call? Did they close? Did they not close? Were they qualified? Were they not? All of these little things, right? We've got these reports that we fill at the end of the calls, right? So that's another stream of information. Payments, right? Stripe, WAP, PayPal, Klarna, Wise. When people pay you, we need to know, right? And we don't want to be logging into a bunch of different tools to know that the payment came through. One other bucket here. So agreements signed, really important, right? You don't want to start fulfillment until you have a signed agreement so that you're protected legally in the event of a chargeback or somebody just being an asshole charging you back or asking for a refund, right? Onboarding. What's going on with our new clients, right? Are they being onboarded? Are they not? Where are they at in their onboarding process? Billing/support updates. So any clients reaching out for help or any payment issues, right? Failed payment. Who do we need to follow up with to collect payment? Things like that. And lastly, team member end-of-day reports. So you can keep tabs on how your team is performing, right? So if you have a setting team, you should have an end-of-the-day report where they can kind of give you that feedback on what they did, what are they struggling with maybe. Not too much friction, but just for you to keep tabs on what's going on. And you can obviously summarize this with a Google dashboard. All of these 10 buckets, right? Different pieces of information flowing into your business that if you're doing this manually, you have to go look at that information on each of the different software, right? So if we summarize this into like a graphic, this is basically you and your team, right? You guys are, you're basically having to go fetch that information across all of these different tools. And so what I want to show you today is how to get all those different tools, consolidate that information, and make it flow towards one centralized location, which I like to call your command center, right? So if we change consolidate to command center, that is exactly what I'm talking about. Now, your command center can be hosted on a variety of platforms, but I mainly recommend one or two, Discord or Slack, okay? And in today's example, I'm gonna show you Discord just because it is very straightforward, very easy to set up, and it's actually free, so you don't even need to start paying a membership or any sort of subscription, you can literally start for free. And in fact, I'm going to give you the exact template I'm about to show you where you can one-click install it, okay? So I'll have the link for that down below. And yeah, so the whole point of this is to get all that information flowing in towards you. And I was just checking if my mic was on. Having all that information flow towards you so that you and your team get that info in one single place, obviously, right? And not you going around. Because if you think about how much time does it take to access, load a web page, right? Go log into a software. It can be between 30 to 90 seconds, right? Navigating the menus and whatnot. So depending on what you're doing, if you're just trying to keep tabs or if your team member's trying to access something, it can just add a lot of delay and friction to what they're trying to do. So what's the benefit of all of this, right? Well, you have faster speed to information / speed to lead. So you have quicker decision making. You're a more agile team and business. You can move faster, right? You're not so bogged down. You're more proactive and you're less reactive. Obviously, as I said, less friction, less training. So when you're onboarding team members, now you don't have to be like, all right, Jeff, so like you're going to be checking this software for that software for this, X, Y, and Z. And then they're like, oh man, like I got to go 20 different places to do my job. No, now it's like, all right, man, here are the channels you're going to be checking. This is where, X, Y, and Z is coming in. And it's just obviously less complexity in like the moving pieces of your business. So let's go through an example of I like to call it a server template of your command post, right? So here is our example. And so we're really going to be focusing on what's on the left here, right? So as you can see, we've got successful payments. So this is where anything that anyone's paying, whether you have Stripe, WAP, Copcart, Klarna, etc. You can use Zapier, and basically for most of these you're gonna be using Zapier or inbuilt automations with say Go High Level or any other CRM you're using to blast that information into these channels. And so for the payments example, you can have a channel where successful payments, all of the payments coming through get sent in there. So who was the client? What was their email? How much did they pay, right? Same thing with red flags. Was there a failed payment or did someone not collect payment and that's overdue now, right? Again, you can set all of these up on the back end. We actually help our clients build all of this for them. So obviously it can get a little bit techie, not super complicated, but obviously if you want to stay in your zone of genius, we can absolutely help you with that. systemsandclients.com/apply. You can check that out. More information on that later on in this video. But if I just keep going down, then you'll have your section for private client channels. So again, when you bring on a new client, you can have one channel on here. Well, they'll get access to your team, yourself, if you're included in the service, any documents, links, any important things that they need to know or have access to, you can have them in their own dedicated channel here, pin it at the top of the channel, and then they just one click have access to all their resources, right? So that's for the channel section. So now we're talking the fulfillment / backend, right? If you have a community, right, or part of your program is like group coaching, right? Then you can have a section for your program's coaching / community. So we can have a community chat where everyone's in there, interacting with each other, sharing ideas, helping each other, right? You can have your admins, your moderators in there as well. Then you can have dedicated channels if you're like, hey, I'm going to be doing ads coaching, a systems coaching, a setting coaching call, a content call, or if you're obviously in a different niche, then if you have different types of coaches coming in, if they need a dedicated channel, you can do that. If it's just one main channel, again, you can keep it simple. You can make this as complex as you want or as simple as you want. That really is up to you and how you're trying to run your business. I also don't recommend going too insane because then it's like a million channels and you're like not even sure where to check. That becomes a problem in and of itself. But in this case, we're just trying to basically generalize our buckets into different sections on our server. So if I keep going down here, obviously automations testing. Before you make any live changes, you might want to send sample data to Discord. That's where you can send it. That's what I like to do. And then here, for example, we have our setting team section. So setting / sales, I like to call it. So this can be like, your team chat, any team meetings, record discussions, you can punch them in that. Then I have different channels for the different stages of the funnel, right? So any new leads opting in, I would have in the new lead channel right here, right? So they would show up right there. Hey, this person opted in. You can plug in what was the funnel, where did they opt in, was it an ad? Did they respond to any questions as part of that opt-in, right? You can have that all go in here. So then your setting team is basically living in there, ready to follow up with these people within 5 minutes, right? And the cool thing is that it shows up in real time. So as soon as someone opts into Facebook, bam, you get notified, you tag your setting team, they see it show up on their computer, hey, so-and-so just opted in, great, they know they can pounce on that right away. Same thing with new bookings. So anytime an appointment is booked, you can have it show up there. What was the type of appointment? Is it a sales call? I typically only like to have, like, obviously lead-facing appointments show up in here. So if I have like a client check-in, I'm not going to have it show up in here. I actually filter it out based on the event name. So any sales-related calls are going to show up in here. So again, our team can go ahead, if they were self-booked, they can go ahead and confirm that call and just have an overall awareness of what's going on in the business. And same thing with you, because everything that's happening in here, you're just one clicking between the channels. Hey, who are the leads for today? Who are the new bookings for today? Any canceled bookings? Any no-shows, right? If you're a closer or yourself, go hop on a call, no one shows up, you update the pipeline in Go High Level or your CRM. It can have it show up in here as a no-show. Again, tag your setting team, and then they can go ahead, pounce back, get that person back on the calendar. Call reports, same thing. I like to have my call reports go into this channel. Obviously, your call reports might vary. We, again, have templates for all of these as part of what we do. But you can basically have anything from lead quality, comments on a specific lead, all show up in here so that you can have an idea of how your day's calls went, whether it's you or your team. Obviously, you'll get that, all of them showing up in here. Same thing with deals closed. Whenever you or a closer actually seals a deal, then you log a sale, like a deal close report. We can have it show up in here so that it's very easy for the team to know, how are we doing? For you as a business owner to keep tabs on what's happening. So we can have details on like how much was collected on the call, what's the total contract value, any specific notes for client success that they should know. All of that can be communicated right here. Again, as I mentioned before, agreements being signed is very important. You want to know who signed and who hasn't. So this is where I like to send my notifications for, hey, so-and-so signed their agreement. It'll show up in here, great. If they're not in here, then our CSM will know before they hop on that call, hey, I need to get this guy to either sign the agreement or, we can't really get started on fulfillment. And then a few more that, depending on how you want to run your team, how much feedback you want to have. But end of the day reports, obviously, like your setting team, if you want to collect data on like, how many messages did they send, what was, how many calendars, how many calls did they pitch, how many follow-ups they did, how many hours they worked, like on a daily basis. They can have them fill that out at the end of the day, and we can send it right here. So again, you as a business owner in just one simple swoop have just gone through, marketing, sales, fulfillment, operations, without getting off of a single page, right? Just same command center, as I like to call it. And then the last few, obviously, depending on how you want to run your team, if you want to have conversation reviews channel, where your setters can be like, hey, ask your sales manager, hey, how would you approach this conversation? You can have that happen in there. You can list out common objections where your sales team can just quickly reference, what is, again, some of these help with onboarding, repositories of information, right? Tips and tricks, resources, you can have special links for your team and whatnot, right? And you can build out sections in this command center for every aspect of your business. So you can have an ops section, because I don't want to go too deep to make this too long, but you can have an ops section with channels just related to, hey, any email to your support email will notify that channel, tag the people responsible, right? Any billing inquiries, anything like that can show up in its own dedicated place. And similarly, you can restrict who has access to view what channels, right? So if you have a client, obviously they won't have access to view your sales channels. They'll only be able to access their private channel and then any community channels that you give them access to, right? So maybe like the community chat, specific coaching channels, right? Same thing with your sales team. They don't need to see what's going on maybe with fulfillment. You want to keep them laser focused on sales, so they only have access to sales channels and so on. And so that's basically how this works. Again, this will help you just run your business so much faster, more efficiently, with more authority, faster decision making, and it just will help you not get overwhelmed with scale, right? Because that's the biggest thing. Like, you're not going to get overwhelmed and have all these different things just bottlenecking your process. You can fly through everything that's going on in your business, make decisions very fast. So it will be more sustainable for everyone in your business, not just you, but also your team members, because it'll help them do their daily duties a lot faster. and overall just keep tabs, as I said, on your business more efficiently. So yeah, again, this is the benefit of having that command center that just really elevates the way that you run your business. And most importantly, all of this will help you stop checking a bunch of tools and start leading from one. And again, that's all about leverage, and that's what we help our clients do. We help you install systems that give you that increased leverage to sell more, to scale faster, sustainably without burning yourself out. So for example, if you are only selling on sales calls, we help you install a leverage selling mechanism like a webinar where you can sell a $1,000 product to hundreds to even thousands of leads in just 90 minutes. And so doing basic math, if you're only converting 3 to 4%, but it could be 10%, it's within the average of the industry, then do the math. $1,000, if it's 100 people and you're closing four people, or 10%, 10 people, that's 10 grand in 90 minutes. And the more people that you obviously market this to, the higher that revenue. So we help you install the presentation, the whole back end to make this thing possible, right? All the systems, getting people to show up, reminders, the workflows, everything, right? And then same thing on the back end. What happens when you sell all those $1,000 buyers on a product, right? And typically it's not a product you really need to fulfill on very hard, right? A $997 product, it's usually a course and info product, right? So you can do fulfillment very automated. It's just granting access, maybe giving them access to a community, right? And that's pretty much it. And then lastly, we help you actually create a client ascension ladder so then you can take those $1,000 webinar buyers who just qualified themselves to you by actually committing and putting their money where their mouth is, and then you can ascend them right into your actual higher ticket services, right? Whether that's 5K, 10K. We give you all the frameworks to make that happen. And most importantly, we build out all the backend for you to make this happen without you trying to figure it all out, trying to figure out all these automations, tools, and frameworks, right? We want to keep you in your zone of genius. So if this is interesting to you and you want to learn more, go to systemsandclients.com/apply, and we can go through a call, demo this, how this would look in your specific business based on your niche and your own unique needs, right? So yeah, that's pretty much it. And one last thing, guys, because looping back to all of this, these little bits that just help you really level up your game in terms of running your business, managing your team. This is what all the 50K to 100K coaches are actually doing. They're not necessarily always better marketers. They're not always working harder. They've just gone ahead and installed systems and tools that really allow them that leverage to just grow their businesses exponentially without just putting a lot of elbow grease the old-fashioned way, right? So just something to keep in mind. And yeah, that's pretty much it for today's video. So if this was valuable to you, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you on what you thought about this. Any questions you might have, also happy to answer them in the comments section. Again, link to book a call will be down there as well. Link to get the Discord server template, if you're interested in that, as I mentioned, also down there as well. And that's everything for today. I'll see you guys in the next video.